Hello everyone on the internet and thanks for tuning in.
And welcome to another episode of Toku Bros. You can catch us on Facebook, Instagram, this YouTube channel, as well as Reddit.
We also have our Discord group in the description below, as well as Twitter at Toku Bros 71. Then there's myself, RyuKiva of RyuKiva Toku. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, Discord, Reddit, Twitter, as well as my own YouTube channel. My latest unboxing of Izu from Zeron was released just yesterday.
And I am Dragon Zeron of the Tokusatsu Media Center. You could check it out on Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, Discord, and my own YouTube channel for the Zenkaiger press conference tomorrow. And thank you for joining us for Rider Talk.
Who is the shining sword?
Like a saber in your hand.
That's the main song. So today we are doing the basic Christmas New Year catch up of episodes 15, 16 and 17 of Kamen Rider Saber. We're not going to be discussing news today simply because we're going to be packing this all in today, and then hopefully next time we'll cover the news that's been going on from Christmas New Year and everything that's been going on right now. But okay, in short, what did you think of the last 3 episodes of Kamen Rider Saber?
It definitely has a lot of promise for a good story arc, because it does actually look like they're spacing it out into arcs and stuff on like Kamen Rider Ghost, which is what the writer wrote before Saber. So I'm holding hope that'll be a lot better than Kamen Rider Ghost. So
Well, you see, I mean, like you're going into the comparisons very quickly on that. I mean, like I'm just going to say that I generally enjoyed the last 3 episodes. I mean, like maybe the week just gone's episode wasn't the greatest, but we will get into that. So covering the pre-Christmas episodes, starting with episode 15. In a couple of words, what did you think of episode 15?
episode 15 was pretty good. I actually enjoyed that we get to see a little bit of what's happening with logos, because it seems that the southern base might be trying to start a civil war, and
Of
that's
course, I wonder where they got that idea from, huh?
yeah,
But let
probably
me let me go into it. So this episode has a lot of plot twists and progression in it, and yet it still felt really subtle. I mean, it was as if it wasn't a key episode at all. But then again, like Kamen Rider seems to almost fall into this pressure that something amazing has to happen every week with virtually no filler. I'll actually start by saying I actually felt the CGI was a bit basic and little off. I'm not sure why, but at least it didn't seem like too much green screen this time. Any thoughts on the CGI yourself?
um it was pretty decent. Like, it's not as good as the beginning first 2 episodes where they were in the nether world, or whatever they called the book world. It did seem a little bit like C grade quality compared to the what we saw with the Unreal Engine in the first few episodes
C
of
grade
Saber.
quality, that's crazy. I mean, like, so moving on from the CGI, like, to talk about the actors a bit, like, I will give May her props this time around, as she seemed to be like a really good, encouraging support for the guys who were left behind. Where we do see like this fight in an alternative dimension, but admittedly, it seemed more to me that it was like going on from 14 to 15. I actually thought it was Lion Senki that flew into the alternative dimension and not Saber. I mean, I believe you have some thoughts as to the transgression to the new dimension.
Oh yeah, like I got a lot of vibes from Star Wars with Calibur's character. I got like with him being the dad, Vader and stuff, and like I feel like they're borrowing a lot of elements from like big Star.
Everything, just everything. No, I mean, I
Yeah.
will agree with you on that, but for me, I always see it with like the freshest mind possible. So, like,
Mhm.
to talk about some of the fight choreography, like, I didn't quite get the fight with the guys on the ground, to be honest. As for Torma, there were a few good moments of choreography, but it was
I do
either
enjoy that with the actual actors fighting and stuff, because we don't really see that often with all of them together. It's usually
well,
them.
bearing in mind, like 13 and 14 we did, but like for Toma's fight with Caliber, we kind of see it segmented by the fight with the other guys, or it was him being trapped and seeing the ghost of Kento. Before the key plot reveals turning this into a mix of alternative origin story, and then the revelation that one of the generals was now free from Calibur's grasp. It also implied that Toma would now have the power of Calibur, but
Mm-hmm.
only time will tell, as well as it just so happens that he was able to escape on time, which seemed a bit cliche to me.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked to see like maybe the dragon getting cut into pieces, and have him deal with not being able to transform into that form again. You know what I mean? That would have been
Hmm.
something very interesting. But or something like that. I don't know, but I just wish they could let there be a cost to what he did. Like have
Hmm.
there be like we have consequences. But I think we already had a consequence with the guy's death. I forgot his name. Not Rentaros, but the guy the yellow guy, Aladdin.
Espada.
Yeah, Spada. Like I think they kind of like
Well, that's it, because
they did.
you got to bear in mind that Espada's the one who's not there anymore.
Yeah, I know, and like I do think that's why they didn't let like Saber deal with any more consequences. Like instead of and let him have the cliche because they already lost a spot again. So you know.
Sure. I mean, let's go straight on to episode 16. I mean, I have to admit that the first half of this episode did seem a bit boring. Yeah, go on then.
Oh my god.
Right, hopefully we'll be able to do the next two episodes without just that one cut. Right.
Yeah.
Boom, right. So going straight on into episode 16. I mean, I have to admit that the first half of the episode did seem a bit boring, and they clearly ran with a setup that made it clearly obvious who the traitor was. And yet they
Hmm.
let this cliche push on, but to an amazing effect in my opinion.
Hmm. And I think the betrayer is actually the lady from the Southern
Well, again,
Pole.
that's why they made it so blatantly obvious, but it's fair enough. I mean, despite
But
go
the
on.
thing is, we don't know for sure. She might actually be trying to save them,
This is where you're
because
trying to outsmart me, but who knows? But I think, bearing in mind she's on this like random phone call with the villains, it's a bit sus. But despite the fact that it was cliche, it was actually believable. So I will give her that much amount of props. So in my opinion, it shows that the actors have got so much better compared to the early episodes of Rintaro trying to take the book on his own. To all
Mhm.
four of them really wanting Toma's blood despite all that they had been through, with Toma constantly reminding them, but they were so brainwashed it just somehow seemed really convincing to me. I really
I
felt for
don't know.
Toma.
Like it just felt like shoehorned in that they would get brainwashed that easily.
No,
You would
see, I
think
mean, I would say it felt natural. Like, I was actually into it. Like, I wouldn't criticize it for being fake, personally. I mean,
like the action was real, but I felt like they could have definitely like it. I do wish we got to. I would have liked to see Rentaro like highly doubt it, and not have him raise his sword. And
I
I
mean,
can
like,
imagine. I would like to see that.
personally, I really felt for Toma, and it was some very powerful scenes, in my opinion. And there was definitely some amazing choreography and even better camera work. So,
Hmm.
you really see them like jumping over the cameras and stuff. It was
Yeah, the
absolutely
camera like
amazing.
camera work is great in this series, and I don't know if you've been noticing, but whenever they're dueling and stuff, they always do these jump shots where they're basically flipping over and like
I
slamming on the
mean,
ground.
I
I
used to love it. Like, I
enjoy
used
that
to love
shot.
it in the 90s, like watching the Power Rangers somersault over the camera. And like they've kind of taken this up a level in this particular episode especially, and then they would kind of play with these filters that just made it so it was like a little bit more rustic. I absolutely loved that. I found it absolutely mind-blowing personally. But I'll
Mhm.
say, like, just to wrap up 16, the anticlimax though was the appearance of Yuri, if I'm genuinely honest. I mean, it was
Yeah.
highly anticipated, it was highly built up, and even though I can cut the show some slack for COVID restrictions, etc., I really wasn't feeling a flying sword swooshing around, especially after some amazing epic fight scenes that I already detailed.
I think it's just a predecessor to him actually getting a human
You
form.
mean a
Like
precursor, but yeah, okay.
yeah, I think we're gonna see. Because I don't think they're gonna let some comic like sword Kamen Rider be able to like just be a sword. I think they're gonna make a suit out of him for sure
Well, this is
because
it. I
it just
mean, that's what they kind of imply in episode 17, which we shall
yeah the
go on
shadow
to.
form.
So, episode 17, I'm not so sure how great this episode was, as it did feel a bit of a filler, but I will say that I did like some things that it showed. The comedy scenes with Yuri at the bookshop,
Yes,
for one,
and him in a dress.
and then him in a dress when they were outside, they were
That's something you
amusing.
would dress up in.
Yeah, you're not funny, but like, it is funny seeing Yuri, a thousand-year-old character, acclimatized to present day,
Mm-hmm.
and how like the way he was actually able to change outfits, and then
Mm-hmm.
seeing. But the one thing I'll say is like seeing the return of the cliche of a human host for the monster of the week.
Yeah, that's
So,
actually pretty interesting because I get a lot of build vibe. It's like they're hijacking these humans,
well, I mean, again,
With a,
it's a cliche, like it's done so many times before in several different iterations of Kamen Rider.
mhm.
I mean, so we see this. I mean, I did like the design of the Yeti monster, even though it was a little bit done before. But I
Yeah,
felt
it did
that,
look like a Ultraman kaiju to be honest. From Ultraman, they're the kaiju monster that looked like a yeti, and I got a lot of like. I think they borrowed the design from that monster, so
possibly,
that's why.
but I just kind of felt that, it was resorting to Yuri for such basic scenery. Is always why fans criticize how a new Super Warrior steals the show.
Mhm. Like I do agree. Like I do think he shouldn't have been the Deus Ex Machina in this episode, and
Well, it is what it is.
well, hopefully we'll get to see some more like because I think they're gonna try changing it up this this arc with having it just be Yura and Toma working together, which I kind of enjoy the swordsman more than Yuri because it's kind of like a coming to America situation where like Yuri's kind of like Eddie Murphy's character and like trying to understand the real world and
Well,
I don't know.
I can vaguely see your comparison, but let's
Mhm.
move on. Moving on a
And
little bit.
also I could
Like
add
moving
on
on a
something.
little bit. Like I'll still say, like I did like the look of the southern base, and we do see
Mhm.
the guys question the southern base leader, especially Rintaro, and yet it's just such a typical cliche that despite how much of a demanding bitch she was, they still let her get away with it without being sussed out.
Mhm. I said like, okay, I'm sorry to go back to Yuri, but I think he might like with him being from the northern base and stuff. I think he might actually they're trying to make him Russian or something. Like with the
No.
Yuri name, I don't know. It's a
No,
far fetched.
Yuri is a Japanese name as well. So
Okay.
still, like I'll say that it wasn't too much of a loss that the four other swordsmen didn't really feature in this episode, as it was more
Hmm.
key to then see a conflict between Toma and Yuri about how to resolve the situation with the editor in chief, which is
Hmm.
also a done cliche as well, even if it is a staple of the high standards of Kamen Rider. But seeing the shadow form of Yuri was certainly cool and a lot better.
Yeah, and I do hope we get to see like a normal version of it because it does actually like I like the helmet design. That actually looks. I
It
get a
does.
lot of
Like you
enthusiasm
see,
for
like on
that.
the sword itself, you see this design of a rider, which has like flashing lights, and I think that could easily be a final form for, if not Yuri himself, then for like Toma. But
Mhm.
still, the CGI for this shadow form was only good in some places, and it was because it
Mhm.
was inconsistent. It was choppy, it was flickery, and sometimes it looked really basic. I mean, it does lead to how the preview clearly indicates that Yuri and Toma will resolve their conflict and unite in a typical fashion. So, do you have any final thoughts on
Um,
17 and the last three
I,
episodes?
it was like it was alright, now that we talked about it. I think I do wish we like get to more develop. I want to see what's going to happen with the swordsman because that kind of like got pushed to the side in the last two episodes. So I do want to see some more of the swordsmen, like them investigating it themselves, and not have it just be the Toma and Yori show. So
Well, obviously 17 was like that, but I'm pretty sure like we'll see some sort of unification with the northern base at some point.
mhm.
So guys, thank you all for tuning in. We hope to catch you on our social media, so do follow, like and subscribe to us at all the above links, and the descriptions will be below. And as always, we'll finish with Fish Through the Cam. See you next time.